Hello and welcome to WION World is One. I'm Kanishka Sarkar, and today let's put the spotlight on the energy market's fallout due to the Iran war. Uncertainty over the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz continues, and because of that, global oil markets remain on edge. Data suggests that over 500 million barrels of crude wiped out in just 50 days. That's the equivalent of the world economy running without any oil for 5 full days. The supply disruptions are now among the worst in modern history. US President Donald Trump has warned that he may not extend the Iran ceasefire and could continue a naval blockade if no deal is reached. The result? Rising fuel prices, disrupted shipping, and deep uncertainty. The big question now is, how long can the global economy absorb this shock, and what happens next? To answer all of these questions, today we are joined by market expert Ajay Bagga. Mr. Bagga, thank you so much for joining us today on WION. Firstly, data now suggests that the world has lost 500 million barrels of oil supply in just 50 days. Now, even if the ceasefire is extended on Wednesday, April 22nd, though Trump says otherwise, how many months of flawless production do you think it's going to take and shipping to refill this global inventory gap? How big is this shock?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on your show. Overall, if you see, what does this 500 million barrels represent? This is the crude oil barrels that have not come in. Half of that more, so another 250 million barrels is the other petroleum products. So refined petrol or diesel or aviation or industrial oil, that has been lost. Huge amounts of urea byproducts, huge amount of sulfur, huge amount of helium also has been lost. So you said very correctly, it's as well as the whole world going 5 days without oil, or 1 month of European consumption, 1 month of US consumption. If it did not happen, that's 500 million barrels. There is also 250 million barrels of other products. So the loss is roughly about $30 billion to the Gulf producers. But the loss to the world is much bigger. I'll give you an example from India. In January, we sourced our oil at a rough estimate average per barrel of $73. In February, it came down to $69 per barrel that India was buying from the world. In March, that $69 per barrel shot up to $128 per barrel. The peak was March 18th, 19th, when we were buying barrels at 150 rupees per crude oil barrel. And in April so far, till about 18th April, we have been paying 119. So if this continues, one, the world will run out of inventories. Europe has already said that they will be out of jet fuel in another 4 weeks from now. Most of the world will start running out of inventories. Inventories, if you look at, are about 1.2 billion barrels is what the world keeps as reserves. Out of that, 400 million barrels they have promised to release, of which only 80 million have so far got released. So the world can go on at this rate for another maybe 3 to 4 months, but the price will be very high. Yes.
Right. I was just going to come to you about the price. Now, Trump has already signaled that he may not extend the ceasefire beyond Wednesday. Now, in this market, which is already struggling with that 50-day fatigue, what does this deadline do to the price of Brent? Do you think there could be a significant jump the moment that deadline passes, if without a deal?
It's a very good question. And again, we have to differentiate between the traded price, which is the Brent and WTI, which we look at on our screens. That had gone down on Friday evening once Iran said that they would be opening the strait, and Trump said the war is near an end. The prices went down $10, $12 to about 88, 89 dollars for Brent, and about 80 for WTI, which is the American, you can say the American futures. Now, the actual physical barrel is going for 110 to 150. So if the ceasefire is not extended, that means what you started by saying, 10 million barrels a day is not coming in, which is huge. It's 10% supply destruction, and it will lead to demand destruction down the road. But right now, it's scarcity. It is causing scarcity. So prices will start going up to $150 on the physical market, and the future market could shoot up to $120, $130 as well.
Right. Mr. Bagga, as you highlighted, it's a matter of scarcity now. Now, Trump is tying the end of the naval blockade strictly to a peace deal, right? Now, if Iran refuses to blink before Wednesday and the blockade of Iranian ports is maintained, do you believe the global market would essentially write off Iranian barrels for the rest of 2026?
No, not right now, but in 15 days we might reach that. See, what has happened is Iran has physical storage which will last for another 10 to 13 days. So, say 15 days they can manage, and they will have some tankers around in which also they will store. But after that, what do they do with that oil? And once you shut down the well, what happens is there is water which you have been pumping. Water is sitting down, oil has been rising up. The water starts to rise, the chemicals start to rise, and they then destroy the well. The well might never come back. So you are right. I think Iran could go off the market if we don't get a solution in 15 days, is what I would say. Not on Wednesday. Wednesday, they still have some storage. They will move some overland through the Caspian ports, but those capacities are very small. So in 15 days, they will be out of storage capacity, in which case, if they start shutting down wells, then it will take a very long time for Iranian oil to recover.
Right. So the next 15 days are going to be very crucial to watch out for. And Mr. Bagga, what does this whole situation mean for India's energy security? You already highlighted how we have been dealing with it so far, but how will it impact India's long-term sourcing?
Yeah, we have no options for the next 2 to 3 years till we build up renewables. We have a huge coal base. So we are sitting on 400 billion tons of coal. We are liquefying only 100 million tons a year, gasifying and liquefying, converting it into gas or oil. China does 350 million. So we have to increase that capacity to use our coal capacity. We have to build up renewables. All will take time. What Indian government has done very well is it has spread across the suppliers to about 40 countries. So, and especially the African countries, Algeria, Nigeria, we are picking up cargoes from them, as well as US, Venezuela, Brazil. So India has diversified, but we will be hit quite badly, and the rupee is showing that. So where we were paying about $150 billion a year on our oil and gas imports, we will probably end up paying 200 to 25 billion right now if this price stays. If it goes up further, then it goes up even more. And every $10 means our cost goes up by $15 billion for the year. So already it's gone from 69 to about 120, say roughly 50. So roughly 75 billion would be the annualized cost. And in these 2 months, we have probably incurred already roughly we have gone up by another 15 to 17 billion is what we have lost already in higher import costs. So it will be a very huge hit to the Indian economy. We will not go into a recession, but we will slow down. And then ultimately inflation catches up and demand destruction starts. So that will mean the economy will go on a slower trajectory for the next 2 years if these oil prices stay for, say, the rest of 2026.
Right. Very interesting points you have made that India has diversified its suppliers across countries, but if this war prolongs, we may have to take a massive hit. And the 2 years next are going to be very crucial if that happens. Now, Mr. Bagga, it's not just about oil being gone. It's also about tankers being in the wrong places, disrupted routes and high insurance premium. These have effectively broken the logistics chain, right? Now, what is this normalization timeline for maritime insurance to return to those pre-February levels? Your thoughts there?
Yeah, see, a normal insurance on a tanker used to be 0.25%. it's gone as high as 5%. So if you do 20 voyages in the tanker, it's as good as buying a new tanker. So that is prohibitive costing that has reached. And for war premia, there is just no protection. So for one tanker load, or say a super tanker, right now transiting, the insurance has gone as high as $7.5 million. That is prohibitive. So the shipping companies are saying we'll stay in port. We will sack most employees, or we'll give them half wages, but we won't incur this risk and this high insurance. So you're very right. The tankers have to reload in the Gulf, then they have to transit back to the ports, then empty tankers have to come back. So the whole cycle is broken. Overall, 80 plus sites of oil and gas production in the Gulf have been damaged. The IEA has put out a note where they are saying it will take at least 2 years to normalize. Something like the Qatari gas will take 3 to 5 years, because those trains which liquefy gas into liquid at minus 162 degrees, those are not available. Those very few people make very precision trains. Two of those trains have got totally bombed out. You will order it, it will come by in 24 months. In 3 to 5 years, that Qatar gas will come back. Cost for these 80 sites to be brought back to normalcy is about $55 billion. So it's a very steep cost. It is going to take time. Normalization won't come that easily. So for oil to fall back to those $69, $70, I don't think it's very much possible within this year at least.
All right, so that's the word coming in. Those $70 per barrel levels may not be possible in 2026 if this prolongs. And very interesting points that energy bodies have said it's going to be a steep cost of normalization, and it may take anywhere between 2 to 5 years for the infrastructure to redevelop. Mr. Bagga, finally, what are the 3 mandatory triggers you think that must happen to normalize the supply? Is it a formal peace treaty, the removal of naval blockade, or a multi-national security guarantee for the Strait of Hormuz? Which one of these or any other points that you might want to highlight will be the hardest to achieve?
Yeah, I think normalizing Strait will be the hardest, and getting, US wants 6, 7 things from Iran. Iran is asking for 2, 3 things. There's a big gap between the two. Markets have been reacting moment, say a foreign minister says, yes, we have opened the Strait, but then Trump says, I'm going to block it. Then on Saturday morning, we saw a reportage that Iranians are saying, since US is blocking, we will also block. So actually the movement is not there. The good thing is bombing has not happened from April 8th onwards. And Israel also has stopped bombing Lebanon. It will be like Gaza. The once in a while they will go and bomb something, but it won't be at that industrial scale they were doing. So one good move has happened. It's showing exhaustion from both sides. The fear that the markets have last 2 times, both in 2025 and then on February 27, 2026, after taking Iran's negotiation points, the US escalated the war. So with 50, 60,000 US soldiers in the Gulf, what the market is afraid is that will there be a landing by the US to try to forcibly open the strait, which could lead to a very deep escalation. So that is the worst case scenario. The good news will be when at least these mediators meet, you will see Trump announcing that he's visiting the Middle East. Either he will go to Qatar or he'll go to Islamabad, and he will be there to shake hands with the Iranians. If that is announced, then markets will really rally. Normalization, as we discussed, 2 to 5 years.
Right. Normalization may take anywhere between 2 to 5 years. That's the expert word coming in. And like you said, markets are afraid if the US forcibly tries to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and that could lead to escalation. And of course, all eyes are going to be on the meetings that are set to take place. The negotiations between US and Iran will keep all eyes on that. Thank you, Mr. Bagga, for joining us today with all of those insights. Now, on that note, we'll let you go. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Well, a critical week for global energy markets coming up ahead. with prices, supply and geopolitics, all of it at stake. The next few days could shape the trajectory of oil for months ahead. I'm Kanishka Sarkar. I'll take your leave, but stay tuned for more updates on the story. Thanks for watching.